All right, everybody, we're back for another Modern Agent Blueprint. So today we are going to be doing things more like mastermind style. So I know Bill's been in the business for a while. Julie's been in the business for a while. She's been in here for several years now. You've been going at it. So we're going to talk about different things that we would have done differently. So I have some stuff that I want to bring up. And then if anybody else has anything that you want to elaborate on, or you want to be like, yeah, this is what I totally wish I would have done differently. I would have doubled down on this. I wouldn't have wasted my money on that. I wouldn't have done XYZ. We're just going to talk about if we had to start business over today, whole new world, we're starting business over right now. What would we do differently if we started today? Or if we had a friend who was joining, or maybe our kids are getting their real estate license, how are we going to tell them to start their business now? So I want to start out with really some things that I jumped in. We're also good. Sorry, I'm like stuttering over my words here, but I also want, like, if you have done things that you were like, heck yeah, this killed it. Like, I would totally do this again, maybe even double down on it. Think about all the things. So not just what I would do differently, but what I would have continued to do or do all over again. So the biggest thing, and I think Julie can attest to this, is when I started in real estate, I didn't really know what I was doing. And Julie was my mentor. Thank God for her, because I don't know what I would have done without her. But I really thought in the beginning, until I figure out what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to work on my branding. I'm going to work on building a brand, starting, working on my social media, really doubling down on all of the things that I already knew how to do. But I didn't know the business. I didn't know real estate business at that point. So I really doubled down on trying to build a brand and really working on my social media. We'll talk more about social media later, but I really think that a lot of people don't really think about their personal brand. And I think depending on the brokerage you're in, a lot of times you can lean on their brand, but you have to also remember that you're selling yourself, because we are marketers first and we're realtors second. So the more of a strong brand you can build, or, putting yourself out there to your friends and your family to really build up that business and build up that pipeline, and really putting yourself in front of all of your sphere, is, I think, one of the most important things that you can do in the very beginning, is really hit your social media hard and work on your branding and really push that forward. Does anybody have anything else on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, you say I was your mentor. I feel like just as much you were mine, because, you taught me so much about, how important branding is. Because, sometimes you just don't think about it, and everybody just goes out there and they can be everything to everyone. And along with that is just niching down, like, who are you talking to? If you can't determine your audience, your avatar, then you're just talking to everybody. And I think if you can, and that's something I would say I wish I had done sooner, is niche down to who's my audience. I was trying to be everything to everybody because I thought if I didn't, I would lose people. Okay, if I'm just going to focus on luxury, for example, which is what I do now, but who did I think I was when I started, that I could be just talking to luxury sellers? Because, I'm new. So I would just say, like, just be brave and bold, and you can be anything you want to be. And nobody knows the freaking difference. Like, if you want to start out as a luxury agent, then do that. Do that right away. Brand yourself as such, lean on other people or your team to back you up. If you're like, I can't go on a luxury listing appointment, I'm brand new. Oh yeah, well, bring somebody with you, because, it's so important to have, cronies in this business. Don't do it alone. So I just threw like 3 things out there, I guess. But back to your branding, yeah, right away with the branding, create that audience, create that avatar, the person you're talking to, because it makes the branding so much easier.
Yeah, I think when you know who you're speaking to, it's a lot easier to come up with content. It's a lot easier to come up with all of that. But, to go back to branding, I think we have to think about what branding is And while, yes, branding is your logo and your colors and all that stuff, but it's also who you are, your morals, your values, your ethics, like those main components of who you are and who you want to be in this business. I think it's really important to consider that, because there's a lot of bad agents in this business. And there are a lot of agents who do things that they should not be doing, and who don't run their business as ethically as they should. And I think that if you create your mission, kind of create a mission statement, or at least have your core values down, I think that's one of the most important things starting out is, who do you want to be in this business? Are you going to be a first-time home buyer specialist? Cool. That's amazing. We need those. And I think a lot of people start out that way, just because it's easier to learn as you go, because you're learning as they're going as well. But I think it's important to figure out who you're speaking to, who you want to be, who your ideal client is. And maybe you don't know, but maybe that ideal client is you, somebody just like you. So how would you, like, if you're scrolling on social media, or if you were looking for a doctor, a realtor, a chiropractor, a, med spa play, like, who would you want to go to? You're going to want to go to somebody who you can relate to and who you feel like does a good job. And you can present that on social media in a very easy way, and it's free. So why not? Does anybody else have anything else on branding and using, consistent messaging and coming up with a value proposition, even though I think that is hard as a brand new agent?
So I think you hit on a couple of things, Nicole, because the second part went into reputation. And when you think about reputation and you think about branding, can branding cover up reputation? Or is it complementing your reputation? Sometimes, you get into things and you get busy, or you're not doing the things you should be doing in the business. You can do all the branding you want, but people still talk.
Yeah.
And so the things have to match. The one thing, at first when you first started talking about, that's the thing to go after and focus. I'm like, nah. But when I think about the major things in closing deals, you have to have conversations. And to get a closing from those conversations, you have to have contracts, and then that moves into the closing. Hey, let's just down the cycle. And the one thing I think I wish I'd done different, and that I would advise anybody else, probably goes back again to the branding, because you want to be attracting people to you instead of chasing people.
Mm-hmm.
Every new agent gets in the business and they're chasing, and they're exhausted when it's done. They're tired. There's a lot of shiny objects out there, and they're trying to figure out which ones work to chase people. And I think it's really just, what am I doing? It goes back to the avatar, goes back to, who am I drawing to me? And if you can get people calling you, you're saving yourself a lot of time, effort, and marketing dollars.
It does make a huge difference. And I will say, I grew up in the MySpace age. I grew up, Jackie, I know you said that you're 41 too. So, like, sorry to call you out on a recorded.
I'm proud to be 41.
We're both 41. I shouldn't have said that out loud.
We know how many balloons to send next year for your birthday.
Yeah, no, I love it.
You grew up in, we grew up in the MySpace time. We grew up learning HTML. We learned how to do all this stuff to, we kind of understand social media a little bit better than maybe the generation before us and the generation after us. Like, my kids are doing stuff and I just don't understand any of it. all my kid talks about is video games. I don't know how to understand any of it. But, I think we have a special quality, where it comes easy to a lot of us, not to everybody. I will say I have plenty of friends who are like, I don't understand Canva. I don't understand any of this. And that's okay. If everything is figure outable, that is my favorite quote ever. Everything is figure outable. You can figure out just about anything to get anywhere. One thing, and we're going to talk about this because this is going to be, like I said, very open. So we're going to flow all over the place. So there is no set topic here necessarily. We're just kind of giving points. One thing that I really think is important is, there is no, like, nothing that we're doing, given like maybe like AI is a little bit different, but nothing in this business that we're doing is recreating. We're none of this is groundbreaking stuff we're doing, right? You know, there are technologies that come out and there are things that improve processes. But the biggest thing, I think, in the very beginning is figuring out these processes and writing them out and having like a protocol. A lot of my new agents that I have on my team or agents that I mentor, the biggest thing is they want like a step-by-step guide of how do I handle a buyer? How do I handle a seller? How do I handle this? So if you can figure out these processes early, it's going to help you adapt and learn and grow as you get older, and as you, or I shouldn't say older, but at more you get more experienced. Now you can improve on these processes and these systems that you have. And yeah, you can, you know, eventually you can afford to buy that expensive system that will help get everything organized. But in the meantime, you can use free things or cheap things. You don't have to go out and spend all of the money on all the expensive shiny objects like Bill was talking about. In this business, we are so marketed to. There are so many systems and lead generation and this and that and like all the different CRMs, and oh my God, it makes your head spin. I mean, I think almost on every mastermind, somebody asks us, what's the best CRM? Honestly, Marissa can attest to this too. Like everyone asks, what's the best CRM? We all have different opinions because we all have different needs and wants, and like KV Core might be great for somebody, but Follow Up Boss might be better for somebody else. While, you know, a spreadsheet on Google might be the best situation for some people who aren't going to use all the bells and whistles. Why pay for it? So my point being is find the things that work for you and, you know, figure out the cheapest way to do things or use what's given to you in the beginning, and then you can build on that. Jacqueline, did you have something you want to say?
I was going to say the best CRM is the CRM that you're actually going to use.
Yeah.
They'll just said the same thing in chat.
You put that, but also, and I found the one that my brokerage offers is I use it and I like it. It's there's an app version, and I had Wise Agent before and there was no app, and it was very, I found complicated to use, but my team lead was a computer software programmer. She loved it. And I was like, I'm not. Like, so whatever one you're going to use is the best one. But you mentioned about whatever you can do free. And that is something I did get right. I didn't buy leads, and I did not, you know, invest in a lot of stuff like that when I first started out. So I did as much as I could for free.
Well, and I think most of us do. And Bill touched on this very briefly, and I wanted to go back on this, but I think that, and this goes into the next line too, about lead generation. So I think that there's a lot of agents, regardless of their age range, who get into this business and they think, oh, I got my real estate license. All the leads are just going to fall in my lap. People are going to be banging on my door, wanting me to sell their house and wanting to buy the house. And it does not work like that for 90%. And this is not a stat, obviously, but 90% of people, I would say, you're not getting leads just falling in your lap. I will say, I just brought on a new agent. She had a listing and a buyer all within the first like 3 weeks of her getting in the business. And I was like, holy cow, just so happened that it worked out that way. She had friends that wanted to buy, it worked out. But, you know, that's not necessarily how things go. I mean, it took me 6 months to sell my first house, you know, so you have to go into this. So this is kind of twofold. One, you have to go in this with a plan. There's so many real estate agents or people who are aspiring real estate agents who get in the business and believe they're going to be, you know, their watch is selling sunset and they're going to be getting $300,000 commission checks. And like, in reality, you're probably not going to get that. And you're probably not going to get it immediately. So you have to have a financial plan. You have to go into this as a business and remember that it's not, money doesn't flow freely. This is not a 9-to-5 job typically, unless you're working with a specific team that you're paid hourly, but most of the time we're independent contractors. So we have to anticipate you might have one closing and not close another for 4 months. That is a very big possibility. I mean, like I said, I didn't close my first deal for 6 months. I was working with clients, but you don't get paid until they buy the house. So you have to keep in mind that you have to be saving money and paying attention to, all of that. I worked 2 jobs. I always said I worked 2 full-time jobs. Plus I had kids until I could make it work. And thankfully, Julie and her husband helped me and pushed me into, leaving that other job. But, it's hard, and you have to figure out ways to make it work in the beginning, unless you have, a supportive spouse or somebody who can help you, or maybe you're young and you still live at home and you don't have as much financial responsibility. But as a single mom, working 2 jobs with 2 young kids, I still made it work because everything is figure outable. But it's hard, and you have to figure out ways to make it work. So I just want to make sure people understand, as a new agent, you have to go in with a plan. You have to go in knowing that I might not get paid for a while. I might be racking up a credit card bill trying to, take care of some of these things that I need. But we're going to talk about not wasting money and all that in a minute. My number 2 that I had was, I wish I would have taken lead generation a little bit more seriously, because I never wanted to be a cold caller. And that was just something that made me want to throw up. The last thing I wanted to do is pick up a phone and call people who didn't want to be called. So I never did it. I've never done cold calls. It's worked out well for me. I have an agent on my team who cold calls 200 people a day. Sometimes, he tries to do 1,000 calls a week. It works for him. I know, he's a go-getter. But that's not for me. And so I had to figure out other ways of lead generation. And there's 1,000 different ways that you can lead generate. But it's important, I think, to really understand what lead generation is, figure out what's going to work best for you, and implement and stay consistent. Marissa, do you have anything on that? Because I know you're big on lead generation too.
Yeah, I actually, and the other piece I was going to add on the first point was, if I could tell agents from the day one, set up a vanity email domain through Google from day one and buy like 3 or 4 domains and GoDaddy, own your name sells, own your name real estate, own your name whatever. Like, they are the cheapest investments. You can get them for pennies or dollars on GoDaddy or 𝗡𝗶𝗯. And they're like that, they can just live there. You don't even have to forward it to anything yet if you don't have a website set up, but just own them. So that way you know that you've got stuff locked in, because it's so much harder to go backwards and try and rename things. Or like Nicole knows, like when we did her initial audit, like, and getting everything to sync and talk to each other, like, it's just so much harder to go backwards and get everything reconnected, change your domains everywhere, right? Like, so just owning those from the beginning. And then too, like, and that's where you guys were kind of touching on, like, the branding, the professionalism, the like starting off, especially like I was probably 21 when I got my real estate license. And so you're facing that like young looking problem, right? Like, that's an objection you're going to face with older clients. And so if you're coming in professional with like your own website, your own email address, you've got professional headshots and photos and branding, and like, none of this stuff is hard, and you can get it all either free or very inexpensive through some of these resources or your broker resources. But just setting that all up from the beginning immediately elevates you, and it will save you so much time and energy trying to fix it all or get it all to like reroute and stuff when you try and hit that level down the road. So that's one thing. And it's not like it stops you from doing a transaction, right? Like, as soon as you get your license, if you get business right away, friend, family, yourself moving, whatever, like, none of that is required to actually do a transaction. But before, I would probably start putting postcards out or calling or jumping on social media. I would get my handle. So whatever I'm going to be, which I happen to pick the Relatable Realtor. I bought 2 different versions of a website for that. I locked down the Instagram, the Facebook pages. I got my Google domain. So then like it matches, which you can do that all right through GoDaddy too. Like, it'll say like, do you want the email to match? I don't recommend doing it that way because it's really hard to disconnect down the road. Buy it right through Google, your actual like at therelatablerealtors.com for your email. Do that piece through Google. But if you're not as savvy and that feels like it makes it harder, you can do it right through GoDaddy when you buy your domain through them. But that would be like my biggest thing, is just buy it all up front. Again, very cheap and inexpensive, like, to start, but you will be so happy you did in the future. And then when it comes to lead gen, Pick one thing and do it for at least 6 months. Like whatever you're going to end up doing, do it for at least 6 months. Postcard farming, open houses, cold calling, I don't know, buying a lead source if you're buying something or partnering with a lender or whatever the case may be. Commit for 6 months and go all in on that one thing. Not 17 things, not even 2 or 3 things. One thing. Go all in for 6 months, because that's going to be how you see the best results. And if you know if it's working or not. Sales cycles are 90 days. So we've got to give it at least 90 days to even see one result, right? So then how do I know that this effort that I was doing my first 90 days, I never gave the momentum a chance to catch up if I didn't go for another 90. So that's my thought on lead sources and the note from before.
And
I would
going
even suggest a year when you commit to those.
Yeah.
And in 6 months, maybe layer in one more and commit to that for a year.
Yes, Bill, spot on.
That
Yeah.
avoids it getting too confusing, but that year you'll really see results. You can make adjustments, and you've gone through 4 90-day cycles then.
The one thing I would say too, and this was something, you're right, I didn't touch on this, and I do think it's really important. First things first, literally the day you get your you pass that license, you set up your real estate only email. So what Marissa was just saying, like, make your own real estate email. So all of your logins, all of your stuff, everything real estate related goes to one email, not to the other. So then, and how many people, I mean, like, you see these people, or it's like, Jane Doe at AOL.com, like, that's fine. Or if it's like, your old AOL email from, 10 years ago, and it's like, a bunch of letters and numbers and all this stuff, like, nope, that's not a professional email. You really need to have something that is real estate related, or like she was saying, like at relatablerealtors.com or at nicolesells.com. I just use Gmail. I have heard mixed reviews on not having a secure email system, but I mean, 90% of the stuff we're just talking back and forth, but you never know, but you should have some sort of security set up, 2-factor on everything. Can we just make that a note on all socials? 2-factor authentic, whatever, you know what I'm talking about? 2-factor. So your phone number, you got to get a code to your phone if you want to be able to get into this thing, because how many people get hacked? So we're talking about a lot of stuff here. So if we're going to go all over the board here on this. So that's, I think, big things too. So anybody else talking about lead generation? I really quick, I wanted to say, again, with the lead generation, like Marissa said, if you're going to pay for something, give it some time. However, keep in mind, like for Zillow leads and some of these other like realtor.com leads and stuff like that, you don't always have to sign a contract. For one, you can go in on like less expensive zip codes in the beginning. And once that starts to grow and you're doing really well with it, you can either add more money to it per month if it's, giving you a good ROI, or you can build up to being able to afford a better zip code. Plus, there are tons of pay-as-you-close lead generation sites. So a lot of stuff. So if you don't know what that is, most of you probably do here, but for new agents, there's a lot of sites that you can go to. We actually sent out a while ago, we sent out like a freebie list of all the different pay-as-you-go sites. I'm sure it's changed because I'm sure there's many, many others, but there's plenty of different places that you can go that they give you the lead. If you close them, they collect a fee at the end. So you're not paying up front. I highly, highly, highly recommend this for all realtors, not just new agents, but all realtors, because nobody wants to pay up front for 200 leads that probably aren't going to go anywhere. So why not sign up for some of these pay as you close, to where the leads are rolling in and you only have to pay for the ones that actually convert and actually buy. I think that's one of the best systems that they've come up with.
I have a caveat on that though, that I'm just going to throw out there, because don't spend too much time on those. And I've heard it from other people too. I feel like they're good and then they're not good. Like I've had some of those pay-as-you-go and they were my bread and butter until they weren't. And I feel like sometimes it cannibalizes your efforts towards other things, trying to chase these people down. Because, again, people don't answer their phone. And I feel like you can spend so much time and energy trying to get in touch with them. And then these these sources are constantly bothering you for updates on these leads, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I got to go update those leads for these people that are never, ever going to return my phone call. And I'm wasting so much time over here. So I just wanted to throw that out there because, you know, I was really good with a lead source called HomeLight. I mean, I feel like I could call that person and I had a listing appointment and I would go there and I would list that house. And then they changed things, and suddenly these people were getting bombarded by like 4 other agents, you know, and everybody's fighting for this. And people like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't remember putting my email or phone number in. Why are you calling me? And it took a turn, right? So just be real careful with those and don't, you know, preserve your time. You should be spending more time on your sphere and getting referrals and all those things, and don't be too tied to those. And they also charge me, it used to be 25%, now it's 40, right? So then I was like, oh, great. You just raised the fee on me and made these leads worse. So just be real careful with those. But I would agree, in the beginning, it's good. It's another lead source for you to, you know, add to your whatever else you have going on.
Right. And if you're not capped at your brokerage too,
oh, it's torture.
40%.
Plus
right?
20
and
or
then you're
30.
getting another 20% or whatnot from your broker. So you're walking away with, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 maybe at the end. Now, given that's still good money, you know, depending. I mean, from my previous background, I mean, that was a whole month right there of paychecks, you know, so it's still decent money. And
Context.
Jacqueline, I know you have to say something. I was just going to say too,
Mhm.
with referrals and leads, I hear so many agents complain, well, they're going to take 40% or they're going to take 20%. Money is money, baby. In the end,
It
like,
is, but you see my point too, though. Don't neglect your bread and butter stuff. That's 0% referral fee for these 40%ers who are, you know, getting 5, 6, 7 other phone calls because they got lenders calling them too if they're buyers. So just be careful with that.
But like if you have a referral source, like, you know, sometimes I refer things out to people or people refer things to me. I do a ton of referral business. That is my bread and butter.
Referral's good because there's no like and trust factor, but
and a referral, but I have heard agents complain and they're like,
oh
well,
no,
she referred me this, but she's going to take 25% or 30%. You're right. Yeah, because it was my lead, but would you rather have more money or no money? Like, which one is it? You know, in my eyes, I'd rather develop that relationship with them, potentially get more referrals from that person than, you know, from the referral source and from the client who I now have wowed with my service. So it's, you know, you have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt that, you know, you're going to pay out some commission in the beginning. You're going to pay them a referral fee, but it is 100% worth it. Jacqueline, what did you want to say?
Oh, I was like definitely agreeing with Julie. Like you have to really constantly reevaluate that source and look at your profit and loss and all that stuff because I did I was curious about it because I'd never done anything like it before, but I did invest in homes.com and it was great for 3 months. And then the remaining 9 months of my contract, it was awful.
And they're expensive. I just got off a call with them the other day. It was very expensive.
Yeah, I think I was at $350 a month.
Oh, it's more expensive now.
Yeah, and it's probably not as worth it. So at first it was real leads, but it was leads on my listings that probably would have came to me anyways. And then it started being like, contact me on WhatsApp. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not going anywhere. So, but I wanted to know because I'm an elder millennial that was trained by boomers and I'm now coaching Gen Zers. So I wanted to have the personal experience of homes.com. Like this is another and I never signed on with Zillow. I never did anything through realtor.com or anything. So I was like, let me try this new little shiny thing. And yeah, I dumped $4,000 into it and didn't close a thing.
Yeah, I literally just talked to them. So this is a great experience. So this is another tip. Talk to other agents before you sign up for anything. I don't care how good their sales pitch is. Do not jump on anything because I talked to homes.com too. And they were $570 some a month. And they still couldn't really tell me exactly what I was going to get. They're like, we're going to position your listings in a great way. Now, their sales pitch was awesome. The person I talked to, whoever their sales agent was, he was very good, but he got very defensive when I said I wanted to talk to other people about it first. And he's like, why? What are they going to tell you? I'm telling you everything. You don't need to talk to anybody else. And I was like, whoa, bro. Pump the brakes. You're asking me to spend $6,000 a year on something that you can't promise any listings on. So just pro tip before you sign up for anything. I mean, you got to try things sometimes, but I talked to multiple people who I knew used homes.com because he showed me some people who were already signed up for them. I talked to them and everyone said, yeah, I don't really know what I'm getting for it. I didn't even realize I was paying for that. Oh my gosh, let me call them, so I think we have so many bright, shiny objects. There's so many lead generation sources. You're getting emails, you're getting cold calls, you're getting texts. Figure out what you really want to do, what your goal is, and maybe talk to a mentor, talk to a broker, talk to somebody about where you want to go, talk to somebody who's doing better than you, and figure out what works and what doesn't, because there's a lot of things that we have all tried and we're like, oh gosh, absolutely not. I mean, I tried Zillow in the very beginning. I paid for a cheap zip code. It did not work for me at all, but I'm doing Zillow now for my agents and we have a pretty good conversion. So, I think it just depends on the time, the area you're in, there's so many different factors. So, just because you had an experience bad once doesn't mean that maybe later down the road they've improved things or something else has changed and now it's more worth it.
I'm going to circle back to the branding. We use 𝗡𝐶ity here in Pittsburgh, and it's a great lead source for them. But the biggest complaint from the new agents is it's people that know them coming through 𝗡𝐶ity through our brokerage. And I said, well, what's the problem? Why don't they know that you're a realtor? Why aren't you making yourself like,
yeah,
because they're like, oh, I don't want to be like too pushy or too salesy. I'm like, you're not. Like, take a picture of you drive into a showing. That you constantly have to remind people that you're a realtor because it's a revolving door. People come and go and they don't want to embarrass you if you did quit real estate for some reason. Like, they don't want to ask, they don't want to be forward. And you just constantly have to advertise yourself and brand yourself. So those leads do come directly to you and you're not paying 25% referral on your cousin.
And they will come back. They will come at you for that money. That's for sure.
Yep.
Okay. So next thing is treating your business like a business and not a side hustle, regardless of whether it is a side hustle for you. I think it should be a primary goal to be able to make this your full-time job. Most people there are a lot of people who do real estate on the side until they can, quit their other job and all that stuff. I was one of them. And I have lots of tips on how I manage that as well. But you really have to treat this like a business because it is a business, regardless of whether you are working for a specific broker and maybe you're an assistant or whatever, this is your business and you are building your business. And you have to treat it that way. If you are a part-time agent and you're not able to get back to people in a timely manner, you're going to kill deals for clients. You're going to, back to the reputation, you're not going to have a great reputation in the business. So you really need to have that structure and you need to have that plan in place to really treat this as a business. And if you're doing it part-time, you need to make sure that it's not just 1 or 2 hours a week. You really have to make this a priority. You're never going to be able to grow and build and scale if you are not putting in the time and effort into growing your business. Does anybody have anything on that?
Well, along those lines is then setting a schedule, right? And time blocking, because that's still something I struggle with, honestly.
I think we all do.
And maybe you don't want to be completely super structured every single day, but I would say if I had another job, it would force me to. So I think, it's not a blessing, but it's like, if you only have limited hours, you have to decide the best use of them.
Yeah.
And obviously it's how can I generate business? If you're not out on appointments, showing houses or on a listing appointment, really what else should you be doing? And I think a
Working
lot
on
of people,
scheduling those appointments.
yeah, people get caught up in the busy work because it's easy. And maybe it's, you honestly, and it's the hardest thing to do, but you've got to figure out where the business is coming from. So is it, it's just how can you get out and meet people? Because let's stop talking about lead generation. It's not what you really, I mean, you should have some source, maybe one of those pay-as-you-goes to supplement, but you absolutely should be figuring out how to have a couple real estate conversations a day. And if that's not cold calling, what is it? Is it door knocking? Probably not. Then is it asking a friend out to lunch?
Media.
Is it having a little get together at your house? Do a book club, join a club, like join things that you enjoy, because now it's fun, because you
Yeah.
can get pretty drugged down by calling rando leads, right? So make it fun for yourself. And
Well, right, like, I mean, you play pickleball and you meet,
yeah,
you play tennis at your gym, like you meet all these people, and you can be subtle. Like I actually thought about not being so subtle, but like one of my workout shirts, I was going to put like realtor on the front of it, just wear it to the gym every now and then, just to remind people, hey, I'm a realtor. Like I know you have no idea who I am, because I'm here working out, but if you need a realtor,
especially
here's
when
the
you're
way.
cute, you just put that shirt on
I know, I
and
just have to
the
put my realtor
conversation
shirt on.
started.
But I'll tell you what, I mean, I used to have a sticker on the back of my laptop that said, ask me about real estate
Yeah.
or something. And I sat at a coffee shop one day and I was just there
Great
working,
idea. I used to do
and
that too.
people
Mhm.
I had 3 people come up to me that day. One guy wanted to get his real estate license, wanted to, pick my brain. Another person was asking me about this one neighborhood, like people are curious. And if you have something like that, a little sticker or something, or you're out like Marissa, I know you work out of coffee shops a lot, having something like that there, it's a conversation starter, and having those conversations is what leads to potential deals down the road. Stepping outside of that comfort zone. I refer to myself as a extroverted introvert. I can do this. This is no problem. I can get on a stage, I can talk, but if you put me in a room with like 10 people I don't know, I clam up and I don't know how to talk and I get awkward. But the
I
last
still
time,
don't believe that, but whatever.
I promise you, Julie, if I didn't know
I
you
don't
guys,
believe it.
I'm the
but
same as Nicole.
We're gonna test the theory. We're gonna lock her in a room with 10 strangers and see what happens.
I will literally be like, wait for somebody to talk to me because it's so awkward. But I mean, I'm trying to be better. One of my goals this year was to try to be better at networking and be better at not being awkward in situations like that. So,
I have 2 comments before you move on from
go ahead.
Well, one on your networking, something that I learned from someone is if you are more anxious about it, go into it, like know who the 10 people are that are going to be in that room and go research them. Go Facebook stalk them, go Instagram them, because then I can walk up and be like, oh, Nicole, looks like you were just in Florida. How was your trip? And I have a talking point versus sitting there having no idea who any of these people are. Go stalk them. Go and like come up with 1 or 2 talking points on your own. And then being intentional too. Like if there's a room of 15 people that I got invited into, I'm going to go at least find 1 or 2 that I could bring some value to, or that could bring some value back to me. And then again, I'm going to go find a talking point or 2. So then I feel more comfortable in that uncomfortable situation. It's not comfortable. No one loves and just like gets up every day wanting to go and make small talk with a bunch of people they don't know. Like even I'm very extroverted, and it's still like, it's not comfortable if I don't have talking points or I have no idea who I just walked into a room of. So that's my biggest tip there, is like go stalk them ahead of time. And then on the point before that of treating it like a real job, there's a few different quotes out there. So like you could find one that's whatever resonates with you. But the things that always stick out to me is like, would I be proud if like my kid, my husband, my whatever, right? Like saw what I did today?
Yeah.
out as a realtor that says like, all right, honey, I went and I worked today. Like you were cool. You were off to your 9 to 5, right? What did I accomplish today for my job? What am I doing to contribute? And again, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom too. Maybe you're doing 3 other things, or this is a part-time hustle, but like, can I be proud of the effort that I put in today? Because we don't have a structure. There is no one looking over our backs. There is no one, we're not clocking in or out to people. Even if we are on a team or a brokerage, we do have some form of accountability. No one is still watching our minutes. No one, we're not clocking in or accountable to someone in a more structured way like that. Our paychecks are 100% reliant on us showing up. So am I proud of the effort that I put in today? And then my one friend says all the time, like, I just wake up broke every day. Every single day, I have no money coming in. Even if I have 13 pendings, right? Or some crazy amount of business going and awesome momentum, I woke up broke today. I have no new business, no new conversations, nothing happening today. So I need to change that. I'm broke. I can't pay my bills tomorrow. And like, I like that one too. That sticks out to me. And there was one more that I can't think of, but it was recently someone posted it on Instagram, and it was like, shoot, it was literally, I think today or yesterday that I saw it. So I'll see if I can find it really quick.
I have a good one. My
Yeah.
friend just sent me this one the other day. Someone asked me, if someone followed you around for a week, would they believe you're serious about your goals?
Nicole, it was you that posted it then. That was the one I'm like,
I didn't post it. My friend did, but I'm about to post it.
yeah, okay, so then someone else posted that or something very, very similar to that I follow. And because it was that one. And I'm like, dang, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sitting here working from this morning doing my meeting from my couch, if I'm proud or embarrassed that they see me sitting on my couch working this morning, like, or if I'm taking my goals serious enough. Should my butt be at the coffee shop taking all these meetings, not making mac and cheese while I'm on here with you guys, right? Like, am I proud
No,
of that?
look at the time you saved by not driving to the coffee shop and back. And
But am I multitasking when
oh,
it would just be so like, I need to be drilled in for 4 hours a day doing XYZ on my list, right? Like, or because I'm
Mhm.
home, I'm making mac and cheese,
Yeah.
did a load of laundry, and I did this or that, like, or like, so that's the thing, right? When I saw that exact quote, Nicole, or again, something very similar to it, I'm like, shoot, I don't know. Like, that was a good little self-check for me.
Well,
Like, I think I take
is.
my business seriously, but
It
could I
is a good
more?
check. It is a good like reality check. Cause like sometimes like I feel like I have these goals. I'm working hard. And then I'm like, well, what'd I do today? Well, I went and got my nails done. I went to the gym. I made a couple calls. I had to go to an inspection. Like, did I do anything? And this is one thing to keep in mind. We have to be working on our business or working in our business. And you have to understand the difference between the two. And you have to make sure, in my mind, I need to do money making activities. What are those money making activities that I need to do each day to bring that money in? I like the idea of like, I'm broke today. We all get that anxiety, like pipelines drying up. Oh my gosh, like currently I have 2 active buyers. Like, what is this spring market? Like 2 active buyers? Come on, I need to be bringing in more. So like I'm working on myself, trying to figure out how I can bring in more business, right? So we're kind of running late on oh, busy or productive. Yes, totally. Like busy, we all say we're busy, and a lot of times it's a bunch of bullshit that we're doing. We're not doing anything to actually improve our business. We're screwing around on Canva or
Yeah.
whatever,
When like you wake up broke, like you wake up with no job, you wake up broke. And I, like most girls, when 18, 19, 20, I always waitressed and bartended in between jobs or internships and stuff. And so that occurred to me recently, like, oh, I gotta make my tips. Get out there, work on my geo farm, get my letters out. Like, I'll have stuff like 90% finished. It's like, put the damn stamps on and send them out. Like, get it done, get it off your desk. But yeah, I'm working for tips.
Girl, right here.
There you go.
My
Yes.
mail is right here. I gotta finish these.
It's so
I
funny.
sent out a bunch. Don't worry. These are just a little leftovers. I need to get more addresses.
Yeah, there's that. And then, but if I've already sent those out, where's my next list? I'm compiling. We've been really talking about virtual assistants a lot lately in my brokerage. And that's been one of the things where I've been like
But keep
outsourcing
in
that.
mind, so I have worked my way through many virtual assistants.
Have you?
It
Oh,
is not easy to find one that works really well, who works hard, who shows up and does what they say they're going to do. So
Yeah. I
Start
created
out.
my own. She's my neighbor.
That's much better. I tell you what, hiring Brooke and Marissa
Mhm.
instead of having all these VAs was night and day change. So
Digital stuff was okay, like updating my database and all that crap, but like actual tasks like those mailers, these college girls that live up the street from me, they were like, yes, give us more. Cause I'm giving them $100 for a couple hours of work, but I'm like, I just give them a deadline. I'm like, and I always make it 5 days or something. But if I were to do it, it'd be like 5 months.
right.
So
Yeah,
if
you
it
gotta
gets done-
delegate. You gotta learn to delegate some of that stuff.
Yeah, so that's been great.
Okay, I want to continue on because we're running low on time here. I'm going to kind of run through some of this. Investing in coaching or mentorship. A lot of brokerages will, like my brokerage, you are assigned a mentor, or you can, ask for a specific mentor. But mentorship, I cannot say enough. We've already talked a little bit in the very beginning how Julie was my mentor and she helped me in the very beginning, go through everything. She still helps me. We still talk all the time. We actually I finally figured out why Julie doesn't answer her phone is because we talk way too much when we do talk on the phone.
I'm
But
like, no, that's not why I don't answer. I don't answer because I can't. However, there's never just a 2-minute conversation with us.
Well, because it's always starts out with, hey, I have a question about a deal. And then we start talking about other stuff with, other transactions and life stuff and whatever. But investing in yourself, I think is very important. And I know it's hard in the very beginning when you are a brand new realtor, but once you are able to afford some sort of coach or mentorship, there's a ton of free resources out there. You don't have to necessarily jump in, but I think finding an accountability partner, finding somebody to hold you accountable, because like Marissa just said, we don't have a boss. We are our own boss. So if you are not a self-starter naturally, this is going to be a very hard career for you. You have to be very driven. You have to be very serious about this business if you want to see it scale. You're never going to find a part-timer who is only putting in half the amount of work scale over somebody who's full-time putting in all the work. Focus on building your database, not just closing deals. I think that's another one. You have to have a database of people in order to find those hand raisers and to be able to have that business continuously coming in. I wish from the very beginning, I would have worked on keeping my database updated and keeping my database clean. From day one, all I needed to do was put in my contacts, label them all. As a brand new realtor, it's not like you're out showing 1,000 houses. You got time. So making sure, and as for experienced agents, clean that database up, put some tags on everybody so you can continuously drip on people for the appropriate setting that they're, buyers, sellers, etc.
Nicole, can you focus on that just for a second?
Yes,
Because
go for it.
everybody says you need to focus on building your database. You need to focus on building your database. Well, why do I need a database? What do I do with the database? What happens? What's important about the database?
Marissa, I'm going to give this one to you.
The biggest thing's the touches, right? So it's a long game. I want to be in real estate forever and pay my bills forever. So database is your long game answer. So, because today I might get something from a friend or family referral, and those are just like the lucky stuff, right? And that's, if I'm just doing this as a side hustle, maybe that's all I'm in it for, and that's cool and that's fine. But if we're full-time agents, the database is our long-term answer on how we get to stay in this business. And if you're working your database well, it's also how we make sure that our cousins and our friends and our referrals and past clients don't end up buying or moving with somebody else, because your database should tell you when to talk to these people. So it might be depending on the stage that they're in or depending on their own triggers. Some databases are even smart enough to say, hey, Julie was just searching on Home Depot. Maybe she's upgrading her home and it's time to reach out to Julie because she might be selling in this next quarter, right? So there's some like really crazy nerdy stuff that can happen as far as like data in the back end, or someone files for divorce and your database might tell you that. If you have no database and Julie's not even in this database, then there's no way for the Google creepy people things to say that Julie is now divorced and
The
like,
algorithms.
yeah, I don't know how it
elves.
works.
I like to Google creepy elves.
Yeah, that there's no way for anything to tell us that because I don't have Julie in a system that alerts me of those things. So that's where the database is critical. And then too, like you can implement email drips and automation and blah, 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 blah from there. But if nothing else, it's just to try and avoid people slipping through the cracks.
And I think that that's the other part of it. People always say they want to automate their business, but they don't know what that means. You can't, there's only so much you can automate. You can't, you still need personal touch in so many things, but you can automate those little touches. And once it cues you up and says, hey, Marissa is doing this, or Marissa looked at your website. She's searching these 3 homes. She liked this one house. Now I know that I need to reach out to her because she's serious. So working on your database, mainly putting people in complete information, home address, cell phone, email. If you have a birth date, an anniversary date, home anniversary date, anything you can put in there that will help, and then tagging them with however you work your system. Is it A, B, C, D buyers? Is it hot leads? Is it, you know, buying in the next 6 months? What you have to know how you're going to label these people, and then you can be able to have your segments that you can send out certain emails to. Maybe it's school parents or football parents or whatever, or you know, sphere, high school friend, whatever it is that you want to, like, you can niche down however you want to do it. But keep in mind, like, you should be dripping on these people. And we say drip, that means emails, touches, text, whatever it might be. Bye, Julie. Have a productive day, she said. Okay. Next up, I'm going to run through these really quickly. Learn how to market yourself online. I could spend all day on this. I'm going to just really quickly do a very high level, I don't know, talk. You need to understand how you're presenting on social media. Right now, social media, people, like before, somebody just called a brokerage, got assigned an agent, that was that. Now, people are researching, they're looking you up, they're searching you on Google, they're looking at your Instagram, they're looking at your Facebook, they're looking at your LinkedIn, they're looking at everything. They want to know who you are before you walk in the door. I just was at a training yesterday with with Jeff Glover. He's a KW agent, does a ton of trainings. He said he believes the listing appointment is only 50% of securing that deal. The listing appointment is somebody's already researched you. They've already talked to you. They've already done all this stuff. They've already done all of this work to get you to their kitchen table. So the listing appointment is just 50%. What does this other 50% say about you, right? So we have to think about this as, how do I present on social media? Do I present professionally? Do I look like I'm doing business? Do I look like I'm doing work? Do I have Google reviews? Do I have people who are saying how great of a job I did? Do I, you know, like, you have to think about your social media is now your resume before, and people are looking at you before you even know they're looking at you. So you have to have all of your stuff constantly updating, constantly looking professional, looking like you are out there doing business. And as a new agent, I will truthfully tell you, there are plenty of times where I took pictures of myself in my car saying driving to go do a showing in this city. I was driving to go get a milkshake or whatever, you know, like going to get a smoothie. Like, doesn't matter, but people need to understand, like, if you're not busy, you have to make yourself look busy on social media, and you can do things that are obviously social or real estate related. You could be working on a CMA, pick your mom's house, pick your grandma's house, do something that you can start learning the business, and then put it on social media. Nobody needs to know that you're doing this for practice, or that you're doing this, you know, because you want to show people that you're busy, and productive is what I should say. But we want to make sure that we are presenting ourselves online in a truthful, believable way, that when somebody meets you, they are going to feel like they already know who you are. So having the videos online that you're talking to the camera, having all this stuff that it shows who you are is so important. Keeping in mind your feed, your page on Instagram, all of that that is what's going to draw people in and get people to follow you. Your stories, those are for maintenance. Like that is your day-to-day stuff, keeping people entertained, keeping people up to date on what you're doing in the business, what you're doing that day. But your feed is how you're going to get people to follow you and get people to hand raise.
Nicole, how many more separate points do you have?
2, 3.
Should we do a part 2 and we can send this link out like with your part
Ooh,
1?
yes,
and
because we
take
could go
part-
on and on and on.
Right. Because I feel like this alone, we could have easily spent another 15, 20 minutes
Oh
on.
my God,
And
I
then
could
you have
totally
3
talk
more
all
points
day.
on top of it. So Brooke, can we send this out with an invite to the part 2, or whenever the part 2 comes out, like tag this one and say, if you missed part 1, watch part 1, this is part 2 or something?
Yes.
Just because like, I mean, again, if you've got 3 more points, that could easily be another hour,
And
Nicole.
we could, there's more. I could come
Yeah.
up with more, and we could
Okay.
definitely talk more about the social media aspect, but some of this other stuff I think is really important. And I know we're at our time and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I love the idea of doing a part 2. And maybe we don't even call it like what I do differently, but like what, maybe, I don't know, maybe we do it. I don't know, whatever. Brooke gets to make that decision.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
Brooke's on it.
All
Yep,
right,
I'll make
guys.
it.
Well, it looks like you're all going to have to join us again for part 2. So let's do it next week. We'll come back next week. We'll do the part 2 and it'll be all good to go. If anyone has anything more, feel free to post in the Modern Agent Blueprint on the page on Facebook. If you're doing something that is working well, or if you guys have any ideas for future masterminds, we'd love to hear from you. But we look forward to having you guys all back next week. Thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate it. And make sure you are staying productive and making sure that you are, if somebody's following you around, do they believe that you are serious about your goals? Because I think that is a great quote. I'm going to put it in the group so then y'all can share it to your own stories.
That is a good one. Thank you, ladies. Thanks, Bill.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye, everybody. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.